How's it going, guys? Cal here, and I decided to make this video for some people who are wanting to make the Frost Mage. I know Kalotis is leveling up his. I've been helping Jen out a little bit. So just anybody in general, this is kind of like an introductory kind of thing for people who want to make mages, and maybe if we ever recruit a mage who isn't up to par like I am, or just wants to learn something. So I'm gonna get started with the talents. You're gonna want Lonely Winter, which replaces your summon Water Elemental. You don't really need that. You can no longer summon your Water Elemental, but Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry, and Frozen Orb deal 28% increased damage. Massive damage you don't want to miss out on. For your second talent, you're going to want Shimmer. It has 2 charges. It teleports you 20 yards forward unless something is in the way. And my favorite part about this, it's unaffected by the global cooldown and castable while casting. So I know Cerulean likes to move Goroth 50 million times while I'm trying to cast Evanbolt. So Shimmer helps me out on that. So in case Cerulean does move the boss a little bit too far away from me, I just have to Shimmer, my cast bar still going, and I get my cast off and do big deeps on the boss. Third tier, bit of a controversy. You have Incanted Flow, Rune of Power, and Mirror Image. The one you should be going for is Incanted Flow. So a magical energy flows through you while in combat, building up to 20% increased damage and then diminishing down to 4% increased damage, cycling over 10 seconds. So sounds a little confusing, but to make a long story short on how this works, the moment combat starts and I start DPSing a boss, the counter starts at 1. Okay? And through the 10 seconds, it goes up to 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? It'll stay at 5 for a second or two. Hopefully, in that time, I get off a big cast like Evanbolt and Flurry. And then it goes from 5 back down to 4, 3, 2, and 1. So it continues on that sequence over and over again. Rune of Power. This talent is primarily for fire mages to get off big damage, but it's also available for frost mages. It places a Rune of Power on the ground for 10 seconds, which increases your spell damage by 40% while you stand within 8 yards, maximum 2 charges. To be honest, a lot of moving around. Um, I believe that Incantus Flow gives a constant rate of damage, especially the fact that it cycles on its own. I don't have to touch it. It's less things that I have to focus on, and it's less things that I have to remember in order for my damage to stay high. Mirror Image, pretty straightforward. Creates 3 copies of you nearby, which cast spells and attack your enemies that last 40 seconds. So I'm not a big fan of it. Like I said, Incantus Flow. I don't have to hit this button. I don't have to worry about it. It's a constant raw damage increase. For your next tier, Splitting Ice. Your Ice Lance and Icicles now deal 5% increased damage and hit a second nearby target for 80% of their damage. Now, I understand, especially fights like Kill Jaden and Goroth, other bosses like that, you're not hitting a second target for the most part. But you have to focus on the fact that it says your Ice Lance and Icicles deal 5% increased damage, comma. So that's a flat out percentage increase you're getting regardless if you're hitting a secondary target or not. Ice Lance is actually is the hardest hitting ability you have. If it's on a proc and you have stats like mine, you're hitting 2-3 million in rapid succession of each other. There really is no alternative. Splitting Ice is the one, no question. Frigid Winds. All of your chilling effects reduces the target's movement speed by an additional 15%. Now I understand bosses aren't affected by this, and to be quite honest with you, tier 75 here is primarily pick what you want. Uh, you know, I prefer Frigid Winds. The next tier, unstable magic, is what you're going to want. Frostbolt has a 20% chance to explode on impact, dealing 50% additional damage to all targets within 8 yards. Okay, so it's hitting the boss. You're shooting the boss with Frostbolt. 20% chance to proc. It'll hit the boss again. Okay, dealing 50% additional damage to the target. So if I hit the boss with Frostbolt, then it does 1,000,000 damage. Another 50% is tacked onto it. Okay, and any enemies within 8 yards. I was running with Arctic Gale for a little while, but honestly, the DPS increase with Unstable Magic is the better way to go. To be really honest with you, fighting single target bosses like Goroth, it doesn't weigh out. The damage you lose is too much. The last tier, Thermal Void, is the spec that I'm playing. You can alternate between Thermal Void and Glacial Spike, depending on your mastery, and ultimately, depending if you want that extra thing you gotta hit. But I won't lie, if you proc Glacial Spike correctly, you're looking at 5 to 7 million damage on the target if you do it right. It's big damage, but it's a long cast, and if you have to move around a lot, especially like Demonic Inquisition, you're moving around a lot, like in Host, Sisters of the Moon, you know, it weighs you down. You just have to know the fights in order when to use Glacial Spike. Thermal Void, pretty straightforward. Icy Veins duration is increased by 10% flat out. And your Ice Lance against frozen targets extend your Icy Veins by an additional 1% or 1 second. It was 2 seconds, okay? But they nerfed it, and we're just going to leave that at that because that really bothered me. We're going to be looking at my stats, gear that I'm rocking, what you want to look for, the talents that I was showing you. You're supposed to have the legendary bracers. I sadly do not have the bracers. Hopefully one day the wild gods will be happy and give it to me. But the bracers you are going to be wanting to look for is Mactherodon's Banished Bracers. Okay. The Haste Master is not something to look forward to personally. It's not that wow, it's not all there. But the equip effect is the main thing. Remember what I'm going to recap. Remember I said about Ice Lance, it's the hardest hitting ability you have. Well, if you get these bracers, your Ice Lance increases the damage of your Ice Lances by 3% for 8 seconds. And it stacks up 6 times. Okay? So you're constantly using Ice Lance. So you're constantly refreshing this. So you're constantly getting the maximum out of these bracers. Okay? Big damage you don't want to miss out on. If you don't have it, good alternatives like what I'm using. Kill Jaden's Burning Wish that I have. Flat stat increase is the best for Frost Mages, which is why I'm using it. And I like Sephusa's Secret. It gives me a 10% increased movement speed to move around when I need to get out of something, when I'm running to an Armageddon, or when I'm running away from an Astral Bound, stuff like that. And also, it gives you a flat 2% haste increase. Off the bat, don't gotta do nothing, boom, it's there. Now on the off chance you're fighting a boss like Maiden, Harjatan, and I believe those two are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Maiden and Harjatan for sure. If you counterspell a target, or if you spell steal a target, any form of CC, you automatically gain 70% increase in movement speed and 25% haste increase for 10 seconds. Okay? Now, the caveat to that is this increase may occur once every 30 seconds. Well, it's a good thing your counterspell, I think, is a 20-second cooldown, so you're alright with that. So, another alternative, if you don't have these legendaries, you can always rock Xanath's Journey. I think I saw Jen rocking that one. Good alternative. Helps with your Blizzard, increases that. It's not a bad thing to have. Also, you can also use Short of the Exodar. Here it is. I just don't use it anymore because, well, it does give you an extra temporal displacement, which means you can do another hero. It's like, so if a shaman hero is a hunter, I can do it again right afterwards. But I'm just not a fan of it. I like raw damage increase right off the bat, constant. So getting into the stats, critical strike. Max is 33 to 34%. I haven't found the sweet spot yet. I say the safe number is 34, but I am rocking 3360. I haven't noticed a difference. Okay, I'm still hitting pretty hard and did a lot of raid sims, and I can't benefit from much more crit. Haste. Stack as much as you can. If you look at my neck, I got haste, bracers haste, I got ring haste, and stack as much as you can without affecting critical strike. Okay, if you're sacrificing critical strike, you're doing it wrong. Okay, you're not benefiting enough from crit, and I'll get into why here in a second. Mastery and versatility. Now, it comes with the gear. You don't gem for it. You don't chant for it. You know, it just comes with the gear. You work with what you got. Sometimes I bounce between 4 and 5 versatility, but with this new loadout that I'm doing, I'm running 3. I'm really heavy on mastery, which is not a bad thing. I mean, my icicles, they hit for a pretty good amount. You're going to want the 4-piece, no question. You need the 4-piece to make this work. Frozen Orb increases your critical strike damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Okay, that's a 2-piece, and the 4-piece, the cooldown of your Frozen Orb is reduced by 5 seconds whenever you gain Brain Freeze. Okay, your Brain Freeze is your Flurry proc. Okay, just to make it simple. Whenever you can proc a Flurry, you just got a Brain Freeze. Okay, which reduces the Frozen Orb cooldown by 5 seconds. Frozen Orb plays a huge role. Okay, having an extra 20% increase crit strike damage. I mean, on top of Winter's Chill, that's huge. So it's the reason why I'm able to climb up the DPS charts there pretty quickly. This is an option for you guys. You don't have to do this. I am running for the time being, and I've been trying this out, and I really liked it. The 2-piece of Nighthold. It increases your chance to gain Brain Freeze by 5% whenever you use Frostbolt. You're using Frostbolt a lot. Like, a lot. So, it's an extra chance for me to gain a Flurry proc. So, the more Flurry procs I have, the more damage I do. I like it. Your artifact. I just got my 12th Concordance. Hooray to me. It's my next one's going to take a lot longer than that. But, you know, once you get everything, obviously you're going to want to max everything out and just get Concordance. With your relics, the general saying goes, if it's a higher eye level, just nab it. Okay? But later on, you're going to wind up gathering some relics that are on the same eye level that are going to do different things for you. So like this one that I absolutely love. Gives me 1 rank on Icy Karis and increases damage dealt by Frostbolt by 16%. And on top of that, with my +1 rank is Torment of the Weak. Your damaging spells and abilities have a chance to deal 80,000 shadow damage over 15 seconds. This effect stacks up to 3 times. Sadly, it does not refresh the whole effect. So I can get up to 3 stacks and only have 2 seconds left. It's unfortunate, but at least it's an added DPS bonus. Next one is Clarity of Thought. Frostbolt has an additional 12% chance to activate Brain Freeze. Okay? Incredible. Okay? So this is increasing my chance to gain Brain Freeze. And then my +1 rank to that is Murderous Intent. Your versatility is increased by 1,500 while Concordance to the Legion Fall is active. Let me tell you something right now for Frost Mages. Concordance to the Legion Fall is always active. Okay? Every time I look at my buff bar, boom, it's there. So I always see it. It's just always there. Last but not least, oh look, another Clarity of Thought. Frozen Orb your Frostbolt has a chance to gain 12% Brain Freeze. So I stacked ×2 of those. So that's why I get a lot more Brain Freeze procs than other people. It's easy to get. This is all TOS relics. You know, just gotta get lucky with the Titan Forge and the Mystic Heroic Titan Forge, and just gotta keep on grinding it. Um, what I want to get into real quick, which is extremely important, okay, are the passives. Okay, Shatter multiplies the critical strike chance of your spells against frozen targets by 1.5% and adds an additional 50% critical strike chance. Alright, so on top of the max crit that you already have, you have another increased critical strike chance by 1.5%. It's it's pretty nice. Okay, you're critting hard on these fools. So you're probably asking yourself, well, Cal, how am I gonna freeze targets if bosses are immune to it? Well, that's where Flurry comes in. Flurry is incredible, and the reason why I like it so much is because it applies Winter's Chill. Winter's Chill is an debuff on the boss, which makes your attacks, okay, treated as if they were frozen. So the caveat to that is that it only lasts for 1 second. As you're familiar with the flurry or the snowball, it hits the boss 4 or 5 times. The last snowball to hit the boss, okay, because every snowball gives Winter's Chill, okay, but the last snowball gives it the full 1 second. And what you have to do is you have to time everything correctly, which makes the frost mage a little bit difficult on this aspect. Okay, when flurry is procced, okay, you have to do an ice lance, okay, because your ice lance is now being treated as if it was frozen. On top of all of the stuff that you already got with your artifact traits, your relics, everything, your maxed out crit, and that's how I'm able to hit 2-3 million damage on one ice lance alone. Okay, and remember, ice lance stacks up to 3 times. So the reason why I wasn't doing so much good DPS was I was just hitting flurry and ice lance. Okay, now the issue is with that is the ice lances get a stack. Okay, it'll highlight, and you gain 3 of them because of Fingers of Frost. Okay, Frostbolt sometimes causes your next spell to be treated as a target as if it was frozen. Fingers of Frost stacks up the Ice Lance up to 3 times. Okay, what you're supposed to do is shoot out your 3 Ice Lances, get all the benefit of the crit, then Flurry, get the benefit of the frozen again, and then hit Ice Lance. So it's a little tricky sometimes, but I think I've explained the majority of the stuff. I think I'm gonna go into the rotation now, just to kind of give you guys what I'm doing. I'm gonna do it in super slow motion. Of course, we're in the guild. If you have any questions, you could always just pull me aside. Obviously, you're gonna want to pre-pot when Cerulean calls it, but it's always at 2 seconds, so I just block him out because I'm tired of hearing your damn voice, bro. So you hit your pre-pot, then your Icy Veins, Frozen Orb, you're going to Blizzard, then you're going to Frostbolt, then you're going to Ebon Bolt, Flurry, Ice Lance, Flurry, Ice Lance, and just keep going and out. I didn't hit my trinket, but I could always hit it while I'm casting. It doesn't really matter. So the thing, it just keeps repeating itself. Wait for that Flurry, hit it, hit the Ice Lance. Keep going. Okay, Ebon Bolt always stays on cooldown. Frozen Orb always stays on cooldown. It's pretty simple. And whenever I get a stack of Ice Lance, I always hit the Ice Lance first, then the Flurry. Okay, then your Frozen Orb, and your Blizzard. See, I got 2 Ice Lances. Dump them, get the Flurry proc, dump the Ice Lance again. Okay, and just keep going with it. It's just rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Your Ebon Bolt actually gives you a proc for Flurry, so you have to hit Ebon Bolt and Flurry, so your Ebon Bolt can be treated as if it was frozen. So pretty simple stuff. I think I might have went over the rotation a little too fast, but honestly, it's pre-pot, Icy Veins, then your Trinket, Frozen Orb, your Blizzard, then Ebb and Bolt, then Flurry, then Ice Lance, Frostbolt. Rinse and repeat. One thing I do want to touch on real quick before I cut this video off. Your best in slot trinkets is Terror from Below, which I have right here. And if I can find it, alright, just hit search, is Tarnished Sentinel's Medallion. Okay. I'm obviously not using it because I have a better alternative because of Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish. Until the time that I do get the bracers, once I get the bracers and I put them on, then I'll swap, obviously, Kil'jaeden's for Tarnished Sentinels. Very important. Everything else, guys, is drop chance. Get your 4-piece. Pretty simple stuff. Your neck enchants. I think I went over this with Jen, but you do want Mark of the Claw. You know, no other alternative available to you. Make sure you're using your 200 plus int gem. You can only stack one of those. If you guys have any other questions for me, you know, just pull me on the side here. I'm going to see how high I can get this DPS going. Let me kill these squirrels, and then see what's going on. So let's do it. Take care, guys.